Most people think manipulation looks like a threat or a scream. It doesn't. True manipulation is silent. It's the subtle art of building a cage where you don't even notice the bars until you try to leave. Imagine someone who knows exactly which wires to pull in your brain to make their desires feel like your own ideas. In the world of psychology, these people aren't called predators, they are called shadow architects. Welcome back to File 0. Today, we are deconstructing the 3 most dangerous tactics used to rewrite your reality. By the end of this file, you'll look at your last 3 conversations and wonder who was actually in control. The first tool of the architect is strategic unavailability. In economics, scarcity drives up price. In psychology, it drives up obsession. Most people try to gain power by being present. The architect does the opposite. They use the silent cutoff. By suddenly becoming cold or distant without explanation, they trigger a primal fear of abandonment in your brain. Your mind hates an unsolved puzzle. It begins to loop, asking, "What did I do wrong?" While you are busy searching for an answer, the architect has already won. They haven't said a word, yet they are the only thing you can think about. You aren't just waiting for a text, you are waiting for permission to feel okay again. By making you wait for a response, the architect has successfully moved your focus from the topic of the conversation to the survival of the relationship. They've created a psychological vacuum, and in the world of high-status power, a vacuum is never left empty. They are waiting for you to become desperate enough to accept any deal just to end the silence. Which leads us to the moment they finally speak, not to give you an answer, but to present you with an impossible choice. This is where the trap tightens and the false compromise begins. But what if they need you to say yes to something you normally refuse? They use a tactic called the door in the face. Here's how it works. The architect makes an outrageous, impossible request, something they know you will reject. You say no and you feel a slight surge of power, but that power is a trap. Seconds later, they retreat. They offer a smaller, more reasonable compromise. Because your brain feels a subconscious need to reciprocate their kindness and backing down, you agree to the second request. The secret: the second request was the goal all along. You didn't reach a compromise. You just walked exactly where they wanted you to go. So, you walk away feeling like you won a negotiation, never realizing you were simply participating in a scripted play. You've accepted their terms because they made the alternative look like a disaster. But there is a final, darker question you haven't asked yet. When you looked into their eyes during that compromise, who were you actually talking to? Were you talking to a person, or were you talking to a mirror designed specifically to fool you? To understand how elite manipulators maintain this control long-term, we have to look at their most chilling weapon, Machiavellian mirroring. The most dangerous architects use Machiavellian mirroring. They don't have a personality, they have a mask. In research for this file, I found that Machiavellian types actually have different neural pathways in the basal ganglia. They don't feel the emotional weight of a conversation. Instead, they treat social interaction like a game of high-speed chess. They mirror your values, your speech patterns, even your insecurities. They become exactly what you need in that moment, making you lower your guard. Once the emotional wire is connected, they can steer you anywhere. You aren't falling in love or building a friendship. You are falling for a reflection of yourself. They don't just win the argument, they become the very person you want to lose to. They mirror your soul until you can no longer tell where you end and their influence begins. But if you think these individual mind games are the peak of the pyramid, you're looking at the wrong map. These tactics are just the training ground. The real architects don't just want to control your next move. They are busy building the entire hierarchy you live in. The scariest part about a shadow architect isn't that they exist. It's that once you know these tactics, you'll start seeing them everywhere. In your office, in your friend group, maybe even in the person sitting across from you right now. Are they controlling the narrative, or are you? If this file opened your eyes, subscribe to File 0. We are just getting started with the shadows. But be careful, the more you learn about the game, the harder it is to go back to being a player. The next file is already waiting. Click the screen to continue the investigation. You've been warned.